I was frosting the vanilla cake when I heard my daughter's laugh through the kitchen window, but it sounded wrong. Too bright, too forced, like wind chimes in a hurricane. Lisa was 35 today, and she'd arrived at my Portland home an hour early to help with her own birthday dinner. She stood in my driveway, her husband Brad's hand resting on her lower back, and even from inside I could see how thin she'd gotten. Her burgundy sweater, the one I'd given her last Christmas, hung loose where it used to fit perfectly. "Mom!" she called out as she came through the door, and I pulled her into a hug, her shoulder blades pressed sharp through the cashmere. "Happy birthday, sweetheart." I held her a moment longer than usual, and I felt her tense. "You look beautiful." "Thanks." She pulled away quickly. "What can I help with?" Brad followed her in, carrying a bottle of wine like a trophy. "Margaret, the house looks great. You've really kept it up since Frank passed." He kissed my cheek, smelling of expensive cologne. "I keep telling Lisa we should buy investment properties in this neighborhood. Values are skyrocketing." "This isn't an investment property, Brad. It's my home." I kept my voice pleasant, but something about the way he surveyed my living room, calculating, made my skin prickle. Of course, he flashed that real estate smile. "I just meant, for the future. Lisa and I could help you manage it, maximize your equity." Lisa had already disappeared into the kitchen. I excused myself and followed her. She was standing at the counter, staring at the grocery list I'd left out. Her hands trembled slightly. "Honey, are you all right?" "I'm fine," she smiled, but it didn't touch her eyes. "Just tired. Work's been crazy." "I thought you left the agency?" I'd been so proud when she made marketing director at Powell and Associates. She'd worked there for 8 years, climbed every rung. "I did. I'm taking a break. Brad thought it would be better if I focused on, other things. We're trying for a baby." The way she said it, mechanically, like reciting someone else's script, made something cold settle in my stomach. "And is that what you want?" She picked up a wooden spoon, turning it over and over. "Of course. Brad's business is doing so well, we don't really need my income." And he's right. My schedule was too demanding for raising children. I'd been an accountant for 37 years. I'd raised Lisa and her brother while working 60-hour weeks during tax season. My late husband Frank had never once suggested I stay home. "Lisa, you loved that job. I love Brad more." She said it too quickly. "Anyway, I should help with dinner. What needs doing?" Before I could answer, Brad appeared in the doorway. "Babe, did you bring my phone charger? Mine's at like 10%. "It's in my purse." "In the car. Can you grab it?" He was already turning away. She set down the spoon and headed for the door. Through the window, I watched her dig through her purse in the front seat, and that's when I noticed it. She pulled out not one phone, but 2. She checked both screens before heading back inside. "Why do you have 2 phones?" I asked when she returned. She glanced at Brad, who'd settled on the living room couch with his laptop. "Oh, one's my old one. I just haven't gotten around to transferring everything." But I'd seen her check both, seen the way her face fell when she read whatever was on the newer one. "Here, honey." She handed Brad the charger. He took it without looking up from his screen. "Thanks. Hey, did you remember to Venmo me for the dry cleaning?" "Not yet. I'll do it later." "Do it now." "I covered it yesterday and I need to balance my accounts." She pulled out one of the phones, the newer one, and I watched her fingers move across the screen, typing, deleting, retyping. "How much?" she asked quietly. $147. Plus the tip, so round it to $160. I stirred the risotto I'd started, processing this. My daughter, who used to make $70,000 a year, was Venmoing her husband for dry cleaning. "Brad, isn't that your dry cleaning?" I tried to keep my tone light. "Joint expenses, Margaret. We split everything 50-50. Fair is fair." He smiled at me like he'd just explained basic math to a child. "But Lisa doesn't work anymore. She has savings," he went back to his laptop, "and the money from selling her condo when we got married. She's not broke." Lisa's face had gone pale. She was staring at the risotto like it held the secrets of the universe. The doorbell rang. My sister Diane arrived with her husband Robert, arms full of flowers and wine, then my son Thomas and his wife Kaya. The house filled with noise and laughter, and I tried to focus on setting the table, but I kept watching Lisa. She set out plates with mechanical precision, folded the napkins, arranged the silverware. Every movement careful, measured, like she was afraid of making a mistake. "Lisa, sweetie, can you help me with the salad dressing?" I called her back to the kitchen. Once we were alone, I handed her the whisk. "Talk to me." "About what?" "About why you look like you haven't eaten in a week. About why you're sending your husband money for his dry cleaning. About what's really going on." She started whisking, faster and faster. "Everything's fine, Mom. Brad just likes us to be responsible about money. It's actually really healthy. Lots of couples keep separate finances." "Separate finances, yes. But you're not working. Where's your money coming from?" "I told you. My savings. From the condo sale." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "That was 4 years ago, Lisa. How much is left?" The whisk clattered into the bowl. "I don't want to talk about this. Not today. It's my birthday." "Exactly. It's your birthday. And I'm your mother. And I'm worried." She gripped the counter edge. For a moment I thought she might cry, but then she straightened her shoulders, put on that bright, hollow smile. "There's nothing to worry about. Now come on. Everyone's waiting." Dinner was torture. I'd made all of Lisa's favorites: risotto with wild mushrooms, roasted salmon, garlic green beans, fresh sourdough from the bakery she loved. I'd even tracked down that specific cherry tomato variety she'd been obsessed with last summer. She took tiny portions of everything. Brad served himself generously, then glanced at her plate. "That's all you're eating? I'm not that hungry." "Babe, it's your birthday. Your mom went to all this trouble." He speared a piece of salmon from the serving dish and deposited it on her plate. "Eat. You've been saying you wanted to gain back some weight." The table went quiet for a beat too long. Diane jumped in with a question about Robert's golf game, and conversation resumed, but I was watching Lisa saw her up the salmon into smaller and smaller pieces, moving them around her plate. "So, Brad," Thomas said, "how's the real estate market? I heard inventory's low." Brad launched into a detailed analysis of Portland's housing trends. He was good at this, commanding attention, seeming knowledgeable and successful. But I noticed how Lisa shrank while he talked, how she seemed to disappear into her chair. "We're actually looking at a beach house in Cannon Beach," Brad continued. "Investment property, great rental potential." "We are?" Lisa looked startled. "I mentioned it last week, babe. You probably forgot." He patted her hand like she was a confused child. "Don't worry, I'll handle the details." "With what money?" I couldn't stop myself. Brad's smile tightened. "With our money, Margaret. From our investments. But Lisa isn't working." "Mom." Lisa's voice was sharp. "Please. I'm just asking a question." Brad leaned back in his chair, still smiling, but his eyes had gone cold. "Lisa and I make financial decisions together, as a team. Right, honey?" "Right." She pushed a green bean across her plate. After dinner, while Brad held court in the living room with Thomas and Robert, I corralled Lisa in the kitchen under the guise of cutting cake. "I need to ask you something, and I want an honest answer." She was washing dishes, her hands red in the hot water. "Mom, please. Do you have access to your own money?" The dish she was holding slipped, clattering against the sink. "What kind of question is that?" "A simple one. Do you have a bank account that's just yours? A credit card in just your name?" She scrubbed at the plate, scrubbed and scrubbed even though it was already clean. "We have joint accounts. We're married." "That's normal." "And your condo money? Your savings from before?" "It's in our investment account. Brad manages it. He's better at finance than I am." "Lisa, you were a marketing director. You managed 6-figure budgets." "That's different." She was scrubbing so hard I thought the plate might break. "That was work money. This is our personal finances. Brad has an MBA. He knows what he's doing." I turned off the water and took the plate from her hands. "Look at me." She did, finally, and I saw it. Not quite fear, but something close. Exhaustion. Resignation. "When's the last time you bought something for yourself without asking Brad first?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Thought about it. "I don't know. I don't really need anything." "That's not what I asked." "Mom, you're making this into something it's not. Brad isn't controlling. He's responsible. Do you know how many marriages fail because of money problems? He's trying to prevent that. By making you Venmo him for dry cleaning? We split expenses. It's fair. Is it fair that you pay half of everything even though you have no income? I have money. For how long? I kept my voice gentle. Lisa, how much is left in your savings? She turned back to the sink, started washing another plate that was already clean. Enough. Enough for what? Another year? 6 months? Her hands stilled in the water. I'll get a job when we're ready, after we have kids. Maybe part-time. Something flexible. And Brad agreed to that? Silence. Lisa. He thinks it's better if I focus on being a mother. When the time comes. And what do you think? More silence. Then, quietly, I think I miss working. I miss having my own money. I miss being able to buy coffee without calculating if I can afford it. Her voice cracked. I miss not having to send itemized expense reports for groceries. The words hung between us. Expense reports? She pulled her hands from the water, dried them on a towel. It's just an app Brad set up. I log everything I spend, and it comes out of my portion of our budget. He does the same thing. It's equal. Show me. Mom, show me the app. She hesitated, then pulled out her phone, the newer one, opened an app called Splitwise, and handed it to me. I scrolled through the entries. Every single purchase Lisa had made in the past month was logged. Groceries, $347.82. Lisa's half, $173.91. Utilities, $286. Lisa's half, $143. Netflix, $15.99. Lisa's half, $8. On and on. Lisa, you're not working. How is this equal? I pay from my savings. And when your savings run out? She took the phone back. Then I'll figure something out. I pulled up my own phone, opened my banking app. Here. Look at this. She stared at the screen. What am I looking at? My account. The one Frank and I shared for 32 years. See the names on it? Both our names. Equal access. I could spend money without explaining myself. So could he. That's partnership. Times are different now. Are they? Or have you just been convinced this is normal? She handed back my phone. I need to check on Brad. Lisa, wait. I caught her arm gently. I need to tell you something. About why I'm pushing this. She stopped, but wouldn't look at me. Before your father, I almost married someone else. His name was Richard. I was 23, fresh out of college, working my first accounting job. The memory tasted bitter even now, 40 years later. Richard was older, established. He said he'd take care of me. That I didn't need to work so hard. Lisa turned slowly. You never told me this. I'm not proud of it. I was so young, and he was so confident. He convinced me to quit my job, said we'd get married, start a family, that he made enough for both of us. I sat down at the kitchen table, and after a moment, she sat too. He put me on an allowance, $200 a month for personal expenses. Everything else, he controlled. Groceries, gas, clothes, everything. I had to ask permission to buy shampoo. Her eyes were wide. What happened? I lasted 8 months. 8 months of asking a man for money to buy tampons. 8 months of him checking receipts, demanding to know why I needed a new winter coat when last year's was perfectly fine. 8 months of slowly realizing I'd made myself completely dependent on someone who enjoyed that dependence a little too much. How did you leave? I called my sister. Diane. She came and got me while Richard was at work. I had $63 in my purse, and that was it. Everything else was his. The car, the apartment, the bank accounts, everything. I reached across the table and took her hand. But I was lucky. I had a sister who helped me. I had my accounting degree. I rebuilt. I met your father 2 years later, and he never, not once, made me feel like his money was his and mine was mine. We were partners. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. Brad's not like Richard, isn't he? He doesn't give me an allowance. No, he does something arguably worse. He makes you pay for everything out of your own dwindling savings while his income stays his. At least Richard was honest about the control. A tear slid down her cheek. I don't know when it started. It seemed reasonable at first. Keep separate accounts, split expenses, very modern. But then I quit my job, and the money kept going out, and he kept saying fair is fair, and I kept paying because I didn't want to seem like I was taking advantage. She wiped her eyes roughly. Last week, I wanted to buy a birthday present for Kaya. $35. I looked at my checking account, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't afford a $35 present because I'd just paid Brad back for last month's pest control. How much is left in your savings? $8,000. She said it like a confession. I had $97,000 from the condo 4 years ago. Now I have $8,000. I felt sick. And Brad's accounts? I don't know. He says they're earmarked for investments. She used air quotes. That they're not liquid, but he seems to always have money for golf, for dinners out with clients, for his new car. Meanwhile, you're rationing your savings. He says when we have kids, we'll reassess. That he'll support me then. Lisa, listen to me very carefully. What happens when that $8,000 is gone? When you have a baby and no money of your own? When you're completely financially dependent on a man who makes you Venmo him for dry cleaning? She put her head in her hands. I don't know. From the living room, I heard Brad's laugh, loud and confident. In here, my daughter was falling apart. We're going to fix this, I said. Tomorrow, you and I are going to the bank. We're opening you an account, just yours. I'm putting $10,000 in it to start. Mom, I can't. Yes, you can. And you will. It's not a loan, it's a gift. From me to you. Your own private emergency fund that Brad knows nothing about. He'll find out. He checks my mail, my email, everything. The words landed like bombs. He checks your email? To help me stay organized. She said it automatically. A script she'd learned. I'm not good at keeping up with stuff. You managed a 6-person team and $1 million budget, Lisa. You're perfectly capable of reading your own email. She crumpled then, really crumpled, folding in on herself as the sobs came. I moved my chair next to hers and held her while she cried. I'm so tired, Mom. I'm so tired of calculating, of asking permission, of apologizing for existing, of living on less than $1,000 a month while he buys golf club memberships and invests in Cannon Beach properties. Does he know you feel this way? I tried to talk to him about it last month, asked if maybe I could just have a small allowance from his income until I went back to work. Something to cover personal expenses so I wasn't draining my savings. She pulled away, wiping her face. He said that wasn't fair, that I'd agreed to financial independence when we got married, that I chose to quit my job, so I needed to live with the consequences. He said it was about respect, about not taking advantage of him, about control. He doesn't see it that way. Of course he doesn't. I handed her a tissue. Abusers never do. He's not abusive, Mom. He doesn't hit me. He doesn't even yell. Financial abuse is real, sweetheart, and it's designed to trap you, just like what Richard did to me, just with more modern packaging. She was quiet for a long time. Then, what did Diane say when you called her? She asked me one question. Are you happy? I said no. She said, then I'm coming to get you. That was it. No judgment, no questions about what I'd been thinking, just action. Lisa looked up at me. Are you happy? This isn't about me. Are you happy? She pressed. With your life? Your choices? Looking back, are you glad you left Richard? I thought about my life with Frank, the partnership, the respect, the joy, the way we'd built something together without keeping score. Every single day, I said. Every single day I'm grateful I left. Because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have had you and Thomas. I wouldn't have had a career I loved. I wouldn't have been my own person. I squeezed her hand. Are you happy? The silence was answer enough. I'll help you, I said. Whatever you need. A place to stay, legal fees, someone to come with you when you get your things. I'm here. I can't just leave him. Everyone thinks we're perfect. His parents, my friends, everyone. The same people who thought you and Brad were perfect while you've been starving yourself to afford groceries? She flinched. I'm sorry, I said quickly. But Lisa, who cares what people think? I'm asking you again. Are you happy? Before she could answer, Brad walked in. What's going on? You've been in here forever. Everyone's waiting for cake. Lisa stood abruptly, turning to the sink. Just catching up. mother-daughter stuff. He looked between us, eyes narrowing slightly. Everything okay? Perfect, I lied. Just emotional. Birthdays make me sentimental. He put his arm around Lisa's waist, and I saw her body go rigid. Well, come on. It's time for the birthday girl to make a wish. We went back to the living room. Everyone sang. Lisa blew out 35 candles while Brad took photos he'd probably make her pay half of cloud storage for. She didn't make a wish, I could tell. She just blew mechanically, that bright, empty smile fixed in place. The party broke up around 9. Brad made a show of helping me clean up, loading the dishwasher with the efficiency of someone trying to prove a point. Lisa packed up leftovers like she might not eat for days. As they were leaving, I pulled Lisa into a hug, pressed a piece of paper into her hand. "What's this?" she whispered. "My new phone number, the one Brad doesn't have. Text me on your old phone, the one you said you're transferring stuff from." She pulled back, eyes wide. "I know you haven't transferred anything," I whispered. "I know you keep it because it's the only thing that's yours. Text me tomorrow. We'll make a plan." She nodded, so small I almost missed it. I watched them drive away, Brad's hand possessive on the steering wheel, Lisa staring out the window, my daughter disappearing inch by inch into someone else's idea of who she should be. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in Frank's old chair, the one I'd kept even though Diane said I should redecorate, and I thought about Richard. About how close I'd come to losing myself completely. About how lucky I'd been to have an escape route. At 7 the next morning, my old phone buzzed, a text from an unfamiliar number. "It's me. Can we meet?" I picked her up at a coffee shop 3 blocks from her house. She was wearing sunglasses even though it was overcast, and she'd lost even more weight overnight, or maybe I just finally saw how thin she really was. We drove to my bank in silence. Parked. Saturday. "I'm scared," she finally said. "I know. Not of Brad. He'd never hurt me physically. There are lots of ways to hurt people." She turned to look at me. "What if I can't do it? What if I'm not strong enough? You're strong enough to have survived this long. You're strong enough to ask for help. That's the hardest part." We went inside, opened an account in only her name. I transferred $10,000 from my retirement, ordered a debit card sent to my address. "This is your escape hatch," I told her as we sat in the bank parking lot. "You don't have to use it today or tomorrow or even this year, but it's yours. Money that Brad can't see, can't touch, can't control. And whenever you're ready, I'm here." She looked at the temporary checks the bank had given her, her name printed alone in the corner, started crying again. "I forgot what this felt like," she whispered. "Having something that's just mine." That was 3 months ago. Lisa's still with Brad. She hasn't left yet, and maybe she won't, but she's been adding to that secret account. Small amounts. $20 here, $50 there, money she tells Brad she spent on groceries or gas but actually squirreled away. She got a part-time consulting job she does from home while Brad's at work. Pays her $10,000 a month. None of it goes into their joint accounts. Last week, she met me for coffee. She'd gained weight. Her eyes looked clearer. "I've been doing research," she said, "on financial abuse, on how to leave, on what my options are. And I'm not ready yet, but I'm getting there." She stirred her latte, and for the first time in months, her smile looked real. "Did you know I have almost $30,000 saved now?" $30,000, that's just mine. I'd forgotten how good that feels. "I'm proud of you." "I might not leave," she warned. "I might decide to stay, to try counseling, to see if things can change. That's your choice to make. But now you're making it from a position of strength, not desperation. You have options. That's what matters." She nodded. "Thank you, Mom, for seeing it, for not judging me for staying, for just being there." I squeezed her hand. "Always. I don't know what Lisa will decide. Maybe she'll leave Brad. Maybe she won't. Maybe they'll figure something out, though I doubt it. Men like Brad don't change easily, and rarely without professional help they're willing to accept. But what I do know is this. My daughter has her own money now, her own safety net, her own choice. And sometimes that's the only thing a mother can give. Not the solution, not the answer, just the means to choose for herself. I think about Richard sometimes, wonder what would have happened if I'd stayed. If I'd let him slowly drain my bank account, my confidence, my sense of self, until there was nothing left but a shell of a person asking permission to exist. I look at Lisa, and I see myself at 23, and I'm grateful. Grateful I left when I did. Grateful I can be for her what Diane was for me. Some people ask why I didn't just drag her out of there, why I let her stay with a man who was clearly using her. But here's what I learned from my own escape. You can't save someone who isn't ready to be saved. You can only make sure they have the tools they need when they finally decide to save themselves. Lisa has those tools now. She has money, she has support, she has knowledge. Most importantly, she has a choice. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest gift a mother can give. Not the perfect answer, but the ability to find her own.